Ready when y'all are.
Y'all hilarious. All right.
Chew, man.
PBC podcast.
Butter on it.
We don't need no butter on no burrito. Y'all know the drill.
Put some butter on your burrito.
Put some hot sauce on my burrito, baby. Shout out to John Witherspoon, by the way. PBC podcast. Y'all know how we get down. We back out there. We outside. So.
Well, we outside of jail.
But, yeah. Talk that not jail talk on Labor Day. So we ain't in jail. We on good behavior. We doing what we do like we always do. But yeah, we're gonna jump. Let me get the intros out the way. We're gonna jump right into where we were. But we're on what episode? We're on like 100 and something. I don't know the number. We'll get to it. Are we on 102 already? Dang, that's long. That's a lot of episodes. First of all, we appreciate every single person rocking along with us. Y'all know who the PBC podcast crew, laying pipe with the PBC crew, of course. Thank you for everybody who's been rocking along with us. But like we like to do at this time.
Throw your hands up in the sky.
Paul, you know what time it is. Say what's up to the people.
What's up, people tuning in? Back at the episode right here with my brothers at the table. We got some interesting topic to talk about today. But besides that, have a Labor Day. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend and stuff like that. But besides that, I'm going to pass it on to my boy Victor. Victor, say what's up to the people.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be back here at the BBC podcast table. As you can see, we're enjoying a nice breakfast together, a little bit of fellowship before we start today's episode. Today, we're going to be talking about a little bit of recent topics and recent events, if you will. We're going to talk about the lottery a little bit too. We're going to talk about some what would be appropriate and what would not be appropriate. As always, we hope you enjoy today's content. We hope you enjoy today's topics.
Yep.
Forgive me for being a little slow today. I haven't slept. Got to work tonight though. But beside all that, let me pass it over to Cameron.
Cam, aka Earth Boy Fresh. Follow me on the gram and all that good stuff. You know how we get down. Let's get right into it. So we were off camera talking about a topic. We're gonna lead into it because I think it's an important topic. We were talking about the Rajah Jackson situation. So for people who are unfamiliar, let me get you up to speed real quick. Rajah Jackson, MMA fighter, son of the legendary, Rampage Jackson. Both from a very much of a fighting pedigree background. What happened was, for people who are unfamiliar with the story, I'll give y'all the abbreviated version. He went to an event. The event was a independent wrestling circuit where he was out to go wrestle, have a little bit of fun, get a little bit of buzz, things like that. What happened was he was involved with the situation with another wrestler by the name of Psycho Stu. Psycho Stu, in the process of doing the show, he hit Rajah Jackson on the top of his head with a beer can, and then asked why he didn't sell the hit. Meaning that for people who aren't familiar with wrestling, selling the hit means like why you just take the hit and just retaliate.
Real quick, as I was reading into it, the beer can was fake.
Mm-hmm.
The fake beer can. That should be clarified. You didn't hit him with a real metal can.
Right.
You hit him with a fake. You hit him with a prop.
Right.
That is important.
And so that is important to the situation. So after that transpired, even though, they went to the back and they had a conversation, they hashed everything out. So, Psycho Stu talked to Rajah. Psycho Stu was like, yo, my bad. I didn't know that you were new. I didn't know that you didn't know what was going on. We apologized. Rajah said it was cool. All right, bet. A little while later, I guess some conversations was had behind stage. Conversations were had on his Kick channel where Rajah just took the initiative to say, look, I got to get my get back. I got to get my lick back. And he said, I'm literally going to go in there and show him what I'm about. So he goes back into the ring. He grabs Psycho Stu. He slams him down. Psycho Stu, as soon as the slam down happens, he was basically concussed from not being able to prepare for the impact hit on the back of his head. He was out. And then at the process, you'll see Rajah jump on top of him, basically full mount, and probably drop a good 6 or 7 pretty strong hits minimum on his head before people some of the other wrestlers figured out that it wasn't a work or wasn't a job, pulled him off, had to restrain him. Psycho Stu, from what I was told, he had About 3 or 4 teeth busted out. I know that it was bloody, so he was choking on his blood. He had his jaw worked. So that was a lot of the stuff that happened.
And the sad part, he doesn't remember any of it.
Mm-hmm.
So not only physical injuries, but also memory loss.
Right.
And so this is some really severe stuff. This is not just, roughhousing. This is full-on assault.
Right.
Some are saying manslaughter, others are saying attempted murder. But point is, it's very severe what had happened. And it's a great deal of shame. Because it seems like, from what I'm able to gather, Raja was truthful when he said it was cool.
Yep.
He was telling the truth. Unfortunately, I think outside influenced him, making him think, well, now I have to go do something. Because people were probably baiting him, or rage baiting him, if you will, to act a fool, which unfortunately he fell for. It's greatly tragic. Now, I'm not saying Raja is a victim. He, after all, is completely responsible for his own actions. He's a grown adult. But I do think he was influenced by perhaps those who were watching the stream, or those around him, or maybe those who he calls friends, to do something this moronic.
I like that. Taking a jump on that. I'm gonna let Paul jump into it because Paul, our resident, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. I'm gonna let him. He needs to register his hands at some lethal weapons too. He know how to put the 1-2s on people himself.
Great movie, by the way.
Yeah. So talk to him, Paul. Tell me your take that you were telling us before prior to going on camp.
So here's the situation. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, go ahead. Talk.
You're fine. I know, thank you. As you guys know, I told you guys I used to train in pro wrestling back in the days in my 20s. I met a lot of interesting people. I trained with a lot of interesting people. And shout out to all my boys from Santino Brothers back in the days, and everybody else I known around the world and stuff like that.
Good. Up in volume, just go.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
we trying out a new microphone, so bear with us.
Here's my take. So, in pro wrestling, in certain sort of situations, they have a thing where they set a shoot. Now, what that is that they'll talk about the positions of what the outtake of the match is going to be, or what what the perspective of the shooter is going to be of the spot. So they'll say, we're going to do this take, and I'm going to hit you with something, but it's not going to be intense. It's just, to get a reaction. So we're trying to make, basically they're just trying to sell the audience, get the audience involved and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But for this perspective, I got to give Stu his credit on this one. I'm not 100% behind everything, the whole situation, but I don't know if him or anybody else told Raja that this was just, this was particularly staged, this is what we're going to do. But I don't think anybody from the other side told Raja, we're just, doing a reenact. So, Stu goes in for hit him with a fake beer can.
Mm-hmm.
So, to get, Raja's reaction. But Raja didn't know this, and nobody could tell him this.
Right.
So, now, I got to give Stu his credit. As a man, he went to Raja, apologized. Cool. No, no beef, no point intended, no hash words or nothing like that. Basically, all right, slap on the wrist, stuff like that. Let's do something, do something, productive, real now.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't a take after that. So, here's the problem I have with the situation. If you on a set, whether if it's, basically, we call it an indie set, where it is, you're going local around, the world, stuff like that. It could be in a garage, it could be in a gymnasium or a warehouse, stuff like that. Whoever is in charge of that venue always have to clarify every certain situations of what it is you're going to do to sell out of tickets or work the crowd or get a reaction wise, and let whoever you have on the venue know what it is they're going to be particularly doing inside and outside the ring. That did not happen. So now you got Raja, who's a professional trained fighter, who's considered as a lethal weapon. because when you train martial arts and you have this, certain backgrounds, you are considered a weapon. Hell, I'm considered a weapon because of my background, so I have to register. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about a situation is, I don't know. Now, we can't say if anybody influenced Raja or he took it on himself to say, you know what, because sometimes our egos get the best of us. Speculation.
We're gonna get there in a minute, but I'm gonna go
Sometimes,
someplace.
and that's us, man, and we all do this. We let our egos get the best of us and stuff like that. So it could have been a situation. Oh, I'm a pro wrestler or I'm a pro fighter, so I got to represent my perspective of my background to show that this is real, this is not real. What is real, what is not real. But this wasn't the particular case. So Raja took it on himself, went inside the ring. Nothing was staged. In particular, I don't know I couldn't really tell if there was a match particularly going on, but it was. But he jumped in the ring, basically shot for a double leg takedown, slammed him on the ground, mounted him, and just started going to town on this guy. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't condone that because nobody should be able to go in that situation. But I can't blame the promoter for not being more perspective of who it is you bring to these certain events and not letting them know straightforward, because stuff like this does happen. And I've seen stuff like this happen. Some of my buddies got locked up behind this because people don't expect the certain situation to jump off in hand. Now, from that perspective, I will say this: if something was to considerably go wrong in this situation, everybody, including the referees, should have stopped it. But I don't know.
After they realized it was a real thing and not
only one person who I condone who stopped it was a fellow pro wrestler, because he tried to, he tried to de-escalate the situation for even breaking out even further. But as Raja, he had a temper like we all do. Probably tried to shove the dude, and the dude probably shoved him back like, "Hey man, we trying to, okay, it's over. You made your point. Stop." But now, when you have outsider point, people will look at it as, oh, this was, they can't tell if this was fake or this was staged. This was real.
It was real.
It was totally real.
Can you please allow me to,
But I see my boy Cam is anxious to get his point on.
Let me get
so
in.
That's my perspective. Where so
He rubbing his
y'all
face
gonna,
go for it, Cam.
y'all gonna like this one, especially you. You're gonna like this one really well. All right. Here's I'm gonna give you a perspective, and you're gonna like this perspective a lot. Shout out to all our people who's representing for the Hilltop Brawl series, every single one of you, right? So
I know where you're going.
So if y'all had a chance to see any of the behind the scene footage, you would have saw your boy get dangled up in midair by our dog Boom Shasta. Shout out to Boom Shasta, by the way. Boom Shasta, let the people know who Boom Shasta is, by the way.
Boom Shasta
Educate the people.
is a respective and well-deserved pro wrestler.
Yes, he is a well-deserved pro wrestler in the indie circuit, right?
No.
So we're filming a movie, right? Guess who's the boy who get dangled up in midair without no preparation? Yeah, that would be me, by the way. Look at the behind the scenes footage, you'll see your boy get dangled up in midair. Now, you know the reason why that everything was cool? Because he didn't just do the yank. We didn't talk about getting yanked up over the shoulder, by the way. We just kind of just did it and went with it. I just kind of just rolled with it. Glasses fell off, all that stuff. Dangling in the air, hand flailing and stuff. It was funny. But let's say I'm a different dude. Let's say that I wasn't cool getting dangled up and spun around in midair by somebody who I didn't know. Like, I ain't gonna have no grown man dangle me in midair in real life. Dude, you could have got easy. I could have put the elbows on you, put the mitts on. Y'all don't care who you is. You gotta let a kid know when you do stuff like that, right? Right. Who's the person responsible for that happening? That wouldn't necessarily be the promoter. You know who that is? It's always the producer and the director. on every single production that you have, whether it's an independent production or whether it's a regular movie production, there is producers and directors. You know what their job is to do? Is to give direction to every single person as soon as they touch down. Before anything transpires, this is what's going to happen. So, Boom Shasta, in this particular instance, him and Marco and a couple others, they came in onto the project to film this particular scene for us. And so it was Jason Lane and Marquito, both of them giving us direction of this is how we're going to run the scene, yada yada, said all of this ahead of time, so it wasn't an issue. But in this particular instance, I don't know if that was the case when it comes to Raja Jackson. I don't think they gave him any real direction of this was supposed to happen. So this ultimately falls in part on them for not communicating from jump. As soon as his boy walked into the building, yo, hey, how you doing? I'm glad you're here. This is what's going on. We're midway.
Well, no, let me get a note. Let me get a few words in. So what it sounds like from the both of you is that, well, yes, Raja is, he is responsible for his actions. What he did was wrong. However, it sounds like a gross amount of negligence on the producer's part.
In part, because you gotta set the stage. Because anytime you walk into the building, you gotta set the stage on it. Yeah.
Whoever was responsible. Basically, what it sounds like, Raja was ill-informed, ill-disciplined, manipulated, probably, possibly. No guarantee on it. It's all speculation, people. We're not spitting facts. We're spitting.
No, you're speaking.
No, and in part, yes. No, we keep it honest with you.
No. And then ultimately, falling of his actions.
Yes.
If you will. So, say perhaps in a different timeline, Raja was well informed. Right. He was well informed and he knew what was coming and what was going to happen. Do you think it's still possible he would have crashed out?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's not just only the producers who failed to inform him properly, from what we seem to understand, but also it seems to be a level of maturity to do with Raja.
Yes, that's the part I was going to get to next.
He still would have crashed.
Yeah, he crashed out because he is a kid.
How old is he, by the way?
25.
25. He's
Okay,
a
so he's a
kid,
young man.
right, who still lacks discipline to know that there is a bigger thing at play. Sometimes, see, the problem with certain people, and this is very much a black culture type deal. I mean, I go say it's just black culture, but it's a lot of people. We see it as more black culture than anything else. We always try to make a point to try to get our get back by any means necessary. So what he did was and said, it's cool. Then he gets one person to say like, well, we're gonna let you get your get back. So all he got in his head is, I can get my get back. So now he's getting riled up because he's getting ready. He wants to get his get back. Then he has the audacity to go on camera, live streaming, where he easily had about a good 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people watching him in real time, let alone everybody else watching the promotion, and literally say on camera, I am going to jump into the ring, take him down, and put the mitts on him and show him this is who I am, and you can't do this to a person like me.
So as much as I hate to phrase it this way, it's the only way that a lot of people understand. Are you saying this all happened because of ego antics?
Kind of. But no. You know me. I'm always keep it tall with y'all. It's the hood mentality that people have, and it's not just a black person. It's always like when something happens to you, you always want to try to get your get back by any means necessary. And because I'll let you get in but because he was so intent on getting his get back, where he could have just said, "Yo, it's basically a production. It's on camera. There's money at stake. I'm on live camera." There's a lot of things that should have stopped him. See, the thing is, first of all, you're on live camera. That should have stopped you alone. Be like, I can't do nothing crazy in front of the camera. If you were really like that mad about it, you should have said it at jump. I'm still mad about it. Like I told y'all earlier, let's go out in the parking lot. Let's shoot a fair one. and keep it moving. Or he could have just dipped. He could have just said, I'm mad, I'm pissed off, I could dip. See, all of those things require some sort of discipline and maturity. Clearly, he doesn't have discipline and maturity. Because clearly, discipline and maturity gave him 3 or 4 different breakpoints where he could have stopped this whole action from happening. And that's why I understand why people are mad. But go ahead.
But ask this now. We were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, but no man just represents himself.
Right.
Right. So obviously, this reflects very poorly on his father, Rampage.
Yes.
Right, because it shows how undisciplined, immature, violent, and very well possibly malleable or manipulable.
Mm-hmm.
You get the wrong words here, but basically he's easily pushed one way or another by probably stroking his feelings. And that does not look good for Rampage at all, because it shows his own, his fathership, how he was as a dad. Now, yes, of course, his son is a 25-year-old adult. He's not a little boy anymore. He hasn't been a little boy for a long time. But if he was raised with the ideal discipline and respect, especially that's required of fighters, then perhaps he would not have acted this way. This is all speculation. We don't know the hearts of Rampage or Raja. We don't know their minds. We don't know their emotions or anything. But we can only look at their actions, and as always, the actions are damning.
No, I mean, can I keep it honest with y'all for a second? You did hear this part of the story where Rampage went on, I think about 2 or 3 days ago, and he said at one point in time he had to basically put his son in a chokehold because him and his son got into a fight, and his son got the drop on him and almost hit him across like a big I think it's like a stone-made table where he almost could have like busted his head open and whatnot. And instead of like just swinging on him like crazy, like Raja did to his cycle 2, he basically had to choke him out. I mean, literally choke him out just to get disciplined. Now, see, the problem is that I know with fighters that you have this hyper-aggressive mentality. But anybody who's been in any type of discipline, whether it's wrestling discipline, mixed martial arts discipline, kickboxing discipline, amongst others, the key word is discipline. You can't just as soon as you get mad, everything's like, I gotta be on 10 all the time. How many times have you seen like Floyd Mayweather Jr., Oscar De La Hoya, what's the old boy who had, what's the wrestler who was in Orange County who had like the mohawk before he passed away? I forgot old boy's name. Because I used to see him all the time.
Iceman?
Yes, Iceman. I can't think of old boy.
Chuck Liddell.
Chuck Liddell.
Chuck Liddell's dead?
No, Chuck's lying. I keep it's Chuck. So Chuck Liddell. So
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I forgot
and I'm
his
trying to
name.
get old boy's name, but Chuck. So amongst other ones, a lot of them boys, they were confronted all the time. Chuck was a real. He always got confronted. He'll be at the bar, get confronted, just was sitting there because everybody want to press their luck. They're like, "Oh, you a fighter?"
Hey,
Let
you
me
sound
see
like
you.
product to me, man. That guy was dope.
A lot of. But see, the thing is, when they're pressed, they're not trying to get back. Even with Blake on our system, we ain't gonna fight. They got handlers around him. They're gonna tell them, "Yo, this ain't cool. We're gonna pull you away. We'll shoot the fair one for you if it comes down to it, but you the bread.
No.
You can't mess up the money." And Raja just didn't have the discipline, which goes into your point about the bigger ramifications. If I'm Rampage, and that's my son, he's ultimately messing up the brand. Because, yeah, Rampage is, MMA, superstar.
Doing it for 25 years.
Superstar. Now, he can't go into these venues now because of what his son did. He could get blocked on kick because of his son acting up. A lot of things could happen because of what his son did. Because, the kicker is you are a reflection of the people whom you are around. And in this instance, it is him and his, him like Raja and Rampage. It's like if my son, shout out to Q by the way, it's like if my son went out there and he did something crazy out in Texas or wherever he's traveling or whatnot. He is still a reflection of me. No matter where he is, no matter what he does, no matter what's going on, he, as well as my daughter, is a reflection of me. So if anything pops off with him, he goes to a concert, he gets into a fight, guess what? That's a reflection on me. Because guess what I gotta do? I gotta go in there and do damage control. I gotta go do damage control. Even if he's dead wrong, I gotta go snatch him up. That means that if something happens, wherever he is across the world, I gotta go get him. And I don't think Rampage went out there and went to go get him.
So would you say, would you agree with the phrase that, children outgrow their parents but never the connection?
They never outgrow their parents. They may be quote unquote more successful, but they don't outgrow it.
Now,
They don't outgrow it. They will never outgrow that. They'll never outgrow a butt kicking. Trust me. To this day, shout out to my mom. I just talked to my mama about 45 minutes before getting on the podcast. I still have the utmost respect for my mom. And it's not because I'm bigger than my mom. I'm a grown man. No, it's not even the fact that she kept the belt. I respect my mom because I love my mom and I respect her and I will respect the things that she says because that's my mother. My dad, before he passed away, guess what? Even though I didn't talk to him for like 15, 16 plus years, guess what? Ultimately, I'm still a reflection of him. So ultimately, I will show him a semblance of respect.
Now, to get back on topic here, because I'm pretty sure this whole Raja topic is going to pretty much take up the whole episode.
Some of
mine.
it.
But I want to talk about because sadly it's unavoidable nowadays, especially with a situation like this, is the race aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, Raja being a black man and then Psycho Stu being a white man, people are obviously making a lot of talking about this, right? And do you remember a while ago, back when Carnival Cruise made all those cuts?
We talked about this.
Whatnot, and there's this phrase going around called black fatigue, or some even call it ghetto fatigue, or whatever. Well, sadly, with situations like this, it's no longer people just seeing the assault of a man. They're seeing a black man assault a white man.
Right.
And people are very, very tired of this because, obviously this is not the first time this has happened. Not with Raja, but in general you hear about this a lot. And sadly, it's always the case of someone of color, whether he's black or Mexican, attacking someone who is white. Right. Now,
I think it goes both ways.
Hold on. Well, let me put it this way. Those are the ones that are reported.
Correct.
Obviously, statistics say difference. Unfortunately, we live in a world where the violence is spread pretty evenly. But reported and talked about, like ones like this. Obviously, none of this is good. There should never be pride in these actions. There should never be any looking up to. Right? No one should ever feel pride in the act of cowardice.
Right.
And I bring this up because we do have to at least touch on this a little bit, the whole race aspect of it, not racism, race aspect. Because this wasn't race driven, this was most likely ego driven. This had nothing to do with just Stu was white and Raja was black. This was just to do because Raja's ego was greatly wounded and he took it out horrifically on Stu. And that's why we have this situation, but inevitably people are going to talk about the race aspect of it,
and I agree with that.
I think it is really tragic that the people, not just the people, but pretty much everyone, and basically all, in all stations of power in this government that we live in, the United States. In this structure of government, in this structure of society, we are very well conditioned to see race first, then everything else.
Agreed.
Right. Now, this didn't happen overnight. This was a very, very long process. Right. And we're now seeing the fruits of such a process of conditioning the people to see race first. Right. You don't see just men. You see either a white man, a black man, or a Mexican man. Right.
He tried to sneak that one in there. Folks, I just caught that too. Kids in the back would have caught it. We got you. Go ahead.
But my point being is you're conditioned to see the skin of the person first and not the person. Right. And that is the wrong way to do things. Now, obviously, we've all heard the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover, which I never found to be a good saying because that's what the cover of the book is for. right? You're meant to tell what the book's about by the cover.
Yep.
But I'm talking about this because we need to see the actions of men and women, not just the skin color.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start setting aside skin color, climate, if you will, wherever they come from, and just start seeing the men. Obviously, you shouldn't separate it entirely, but it shouldn't be at the forefront and foremost. Because when you start putting race in front of everything, everything's about race, even when it shouldn't. Right? Even this whole situation with Raja assaulting Steve, it shouldn't be about his race. It should just be about the fact that this is purely assault. This is a crime. We're talking about crime.
Right.
We're not talking about colors here.
Right.
You know, we're not in the third grade anymore.
Right.
You know, that conversation's gone past. We should talk about actions first and foremost.
Right.
Whether it be righteous or wickedness, whatever it may be, action should always be brought up. Race, like I said, should never be completely disassociated. It is part of who we are, genetically speaking, physically speaking, and culturally speaking. But it should never be at the forefront. If it's a top 5, it should be 4.
Right.
4 or 5. It should be in the back, not in the forefront.
But we're in
Forefront should be action, but like I was saying, actions are no longer the front runner. So,
No, because
He's right.
No,
He's right.
You,
Dead right.
I wish
But
that this can get said more because it can actually save a lot of people's life. But most people don't want to hear that because they are taking it in their own actions. So, well, man, you know, I'm straight up good. I'm straight up this. I got to be tough and this and that and the other. I got to do this.
pause. You said something. You said something super important. Pause. I'm straight up hood. I'm straight up this. What do you say about color? Like race? Is the hood thing about race? No, because there's every single race has hoods in them. Correct?
Exactly. Whether it's black, white.
Right. I just want you to hear what you said. But see, that's more of the thing. That's an actual thing, like Vic just said, versus a race thing.
No, I
So
think we
people
should
make it a
clarify.
race thing. Go ahead.
I think we should clarify for those who are watching. Thank you for watching, by the way.
Kids in the back. Appreciate you.
We should clarify that ghetto or hood or hoodlum or whatever you want to call it is not a racial thing, but it is very much a cultural thing, right? You can take anyone, any color, and if you raise them in the hood, 99.9% of the time they will be hood.
I got a question. You got me to a point, but got me to a question. Do you think Raja Jackson was raised in the hood?
No.
I think he was raised wanting to be that.
That's more of the point I was trying to make.
I mean,
Because he was raised in front of, good neighborhood, good money.
do you know the phrase wankster?
Yeah.
I don't think you want to touch it.
I don't think because
Well, what else
But-
can you call
no,
these
no.
actions?
Wayne, man,
can't call it.
I can't say
I
that.
gotta give you.
I can't say
We
Wankster.
can't say.
I can't say Wankster because that takes on a very different
Yeah.
conversation. But
And I gotta
I
give
will
you
say
the
I will
real
I
down
will
for
say
that
this.
word,
I will say this.
But I'm glad
Was
you
he
brought that up.
was he trying to be was he trying to be like hood, like was he trying to conduct himself like he did, like
No.
the street dudes do?
No.
Yes.
No.
But he's really not a street dude. That's all. He's trying. So no. It's an important thing because certain guys, just because they have money and they come from a different spot and they see all the hood stuff and they're around certain people who are some hood ones, they think that they're them. They think that they're them. See, Rampage.
Real quick, just to
So
clarify.
Rampage came from the hood. But his son was never raised in that environment. Does that make sense? But because Rampage was from the hood, he has some hood people around him. So if you ever see Rampage and how he conducts himself, especially when it comes to women and all that stuff, he conducts himself like he's straight street, right? His son was never technically in those environments per se, but because his daddy showed him his stuff, meaning that he brought him around the couple of gangsters that was supposed to protect him. He brought him around the OnlyFans models. He was always around. He was just in the environment without directly being there. So it's kind of like, but he wasn't necessarily like gain connected, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so outsider looking in.
Exactly.
Basically, his father thankfully took him out of that environment.
But he didn't
still
really
kept-
take them in the environment.
No, he took him out of the physical environment, but he kept the elements around.
Yes, because his daddy couldn't separate himself.
And again,
And he still can't separate himself. And don't get it wrong, I like Rampage. I think Rampage is a good, at heart, he's a good dude. I just think he does a lot of questionable parenting stuff that would, if a regular person was to do, and then you saw their kid like acting out, you'd be like, oh yeah, he's just a reflection of his daddy.
now we should clarify, we're not here to slander Raja or Rampage or anyone.
It's just a different take.
This is all
But it's a real take.
This is all very heavy observation of what we see and what we know and what we've come to understand and what's publicly available. That's what we're going off of. We're not making them to be anything. We're not claiming they're anything. This is all about questioning.
Not to take away from you, I need to clarify something. For certain people don't understand the assets of mixed martial arts and stuff like that. As you know, I always told you about my coach. Shout out to my coach, Jerry Wilson. I've known him for almost 20 years and stuff like that. No, Southern Line Gym. That's my buddy, Danny Swartz Gym. My coach always brings this to a perspective. He doesn't allow anybody in the gym when they spar, especially doing stand-up and stuff, to go heavy. If he sees you go heavy, he's gonna check you because in certain environments, and I've seen this a lot at gyms, you'll go in, oh, you got this, okay, throw you on the mat, and you get your ass beat. And I've seen it personally happen. But it's always been a golden rule to my coach, and I always respect that golden rule, is never go heavy unless the other person goes heavy on you. Because as me, I have more control and respect, not more control of, okay, this is not, we're not fighting. This is a, friendly sparring match. I'm going light. But if you go heavy, not your rule, you have to go heavy.
So,
But certain people don't take that aspect outside of the gym. They look at that as, oh, I'm a trained guy and stuff like that. So I'll use this in a different perspective anywhere I go. Now, I'm not saying you ain't supposed to defend yourself all the time, but you should have the most knowledgeable of what it is, what you're doing. Outside of
discipline.
It's discipline. It's discipline.
Your
You have to,
your coach is
you have to
telling you,
have self-discipline.
discipline.
And that's one thing a lot of some of these gyms,
No,
I'm not dissing no gyms like that. I got a lot of friends, a lot of good buddies who, own their own gym like that. And they'll tell you the same thing. As a respected wise, you have to have a certain discipline to have self-control of what it is that you're doing outside of the gym, unless you're being provoked or you're in a situation where you have to defend yourself. In this case, this wasn't a provoke. Well, no, take it back. It's a little bit 50-50. I can't say
It's not.
all of-
It's about 75-25. It was.
But Raja, as a grown man, he ain't no kid, he a grown man, should have had the discipline to control his emotions instead of letting his actions get the best of him.
So you made a good point about like discipline and trainers and different gyms. And people from a movie perspective could easily make this connection. What was the difference between Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai? What's the difference between Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai? Cobra Kai. What was the slogan? Strike first, strike hard, no mercy, sir. Discipline, right? The discipline was, I'm gonna be aggressive at all times and I'm gonna beat up anybody at all times. That goes into your discipline and training, right? Miyagi-Do was, we don't have to fight unless we have to fight. That was the whole premise of the Karate Kid, believe it or not. It was really the telling of the two stories. And the reason why I say that is because Raja, in this instance, didn't exercise discipline when he had plenty of opportunities to. And that's really what this comes down to. Go.
So how would you feel about kind of wrapping up this one? To never instigate, but always regulate?
Yes. So if it was something that was brought to you, and this is why I said I understand
Well, I just want to get on this too. I think it's a shame that, okay, we all heard the phrase check yourself. It's typically told to someone who's getting out of hand.
Right.
But it's a phrase we really should be telling ourselves more often than not. Because anytime you hear the phrase check yourself, it should be your own voice. Referring to yourself. After all, if anyone needs checking, it's me.
Right.
Not getting checked on, checked in.
Right. You know, you make a strong point right there, Victor. But as some of us, and I can take fault for this because I used to do this when, you know, in my 20-year days, because, you know, I always let my ego get the best of me too, and sometimes I got checked for it.
Right.
But not in a disrespectful way. This is as a way to say, hey, you're a grown man, you're better than that, now have a different disposition. And that's a lot of things I've been taught as, not only as a martial artist, but as a man too. Because sometimes when you get surrounded by certain people, whether it's good or bad, you don't know what the outcome is going to be in that certain situations. So therefore, as you grow in a little bit more maturity stage, you have the anticipation of being who you want to be. At this case, this wasn't no anticipation. This is a semi situation where he already had the mindset of what it is he was going to do. What if he had anybody affiliated in his head or not?
No. You know what this came down to? And it just dawned on me right now while I'm sitting here. You said something. If I got out of hand, it was on me. But see, the problem is in this day and age, there's too many guesses. Let me clarify. Let me clarify. There's too many yes men.
Okay, let me say something quite quick before you go in, because I've been in a situation, especially in training, where I got in a situation where I almost injured someone. And you know, one bad situation is just that, you know, sometimes, you know, especially, you know, in my weight class, you know, we go a little, you know, we go a little rough sometimes. And I remember my second year with Centerline Gym, and we had one guy. His name is Rodney King. Not the black Rodney King. Okay.
Shout out to Rodney King. Not the one who got beat up.
His name was actually Rodney King.
Got it.
He's
along.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, with him.
That went over. That kids in the back got it. Don't worry.
With him, yeah, I always had the utmost respect for him. When he used to bring, you know, when we used to have sparring matches, like straight up hands, he'd bring some of his guys in from Africa and stuff like that. Because he trained out there. He was a white guy. That was kind of funny. But it was one situation where one of his guys went heavy on him. I didn't get mad at this. I was like, why is this guy going heavy? So when I looked at my coach and he gave me a nod, national respect, I got to go ahead and back. So I engaged with him back. Did I drop him? Yeah. Liver shot? Cool. But then, you know, some guys let their egos get possessive. So he said, man, you hit me so hard. I said, well, out of national respect, you hit me heavy, so I have to go ahead and move. Cool. After the match, you know, we got it up, we gave each other that certain respect. But the discipline for me was that I could have, you know, went ape shit. I could have, you know, let my ego got the best one. I could have went off. But I had the most discipline because I know what environment. Not because of the environment where I am. It's because the person.
Run back the story like 5 seconds. What did you do before you get the liver shots? What did you do before you get the liver shots?
I looked at my coach. I got right there.
You got. Remember, I told you about yes men.
Yeah.
This is my problem. Your coach in this instance gave the okay, but it was something in regards to showing another fighter discipline and respect amongst the ring. That's one thing. That's teaching and training.
Yeah.
And that's important. But what you did was, you didn't just mock him without getting an okay from somebody. Yeah. See, the thing about yes men, or people who are supposed to like protect you per se, is a lot of times, like in the case of Raja, he's around people who's going to say yes to him no matter what. They're going to rile him up, gas him up. Yo, go ahead and get him, go ahead and get him. Who was the person who was there who was supposed to stop him and be like, yo, this is probably not the right move. You on camera saying this, you got a lot of money involved. your agent, your manager, some of your boys, whoever's there, somebody should have been there to slow it down. It's something, if y'all were like amped up about something, if you was going to be get into a fight, and me and Vic is there, our job is to assess the situation for you, because you may be amped up and you're not really being able to assess because you're emotional, you're ready to swing on somebody, cool. It's up to us to figure out, what are we going to do? Am I going to be like, hey, yo, go get him? Because there may be a time where we have to do that. But a lot of times, we're like, we got bigger things at stake. We can't fight here. There's too many cameras. There's too many things going on. You can't go to jail. You can't sacrifice your job. I don't want to have to explain this to your mamas. I don't want to have to sit up here and be like, yo, we on camera, and I got to come on camera the next week and be like, well, the PVC podcast crew got into a mix-up at Long Beach, and we have to, we don't have to explain that because it looks bad. But somebody has to be there and say no. See, the problem is in this day and age, there's too many people so willing to say yes just because a person is a celebrity or they're the star, so they're going to say yes no matter what. The problem is nobody told this man no because they were scared.
Well, here's the thing. You make a good point with the whole star. The same people are stars. You said, well, you are stars. Basically what I'm saying is stars themselves have to orbit around something.
Yep.
Something's keeping them in line.
Yep.
Even stars need that.
Right.
Everyone needs that.
Yes.
They really do, because if they don't have something keeping them gravitating or keeping them in line, guess what? They fall out of line,
Facts.
and that's when everything goes wrong.
That's fact.
It doubly so for those with influence.
Yep.
Now, thankfully for us, we're a trio, right? We got each other, and you, our dear audience. Thank you. But a man by himself, with nothing to orbit around, is just going ultimately nowhere.
Right.
He thinks he's going somewhere. He sees he's doing something, but he's ultimately going nowhere. You need a brother, you need a father, you need a mentor, you need a teacher. You need these things. Because no matter how old you are, there's somebody out there who's older and more wise than you. I suggest you find them and know them. Right? This is so important. This is sadly the lost, dying theme here in the West and here in America, and that is brotherhood or discipleship. Now, I know people when they hear that word discipleship, it's typically correlated with the faith. But I'm not speaking of discipleship of Christ. Well, that is of utmost importance. I am speaking of discipleship of elders, of those in your life who have lived longer than you, done more than you, and are simply more than you. Not in a degrading way, but in a simple experience that is right. And we are to submit ourselves to those who are our betters. We have a problem with submission. Submission is not a bad thing. Then again, submission is evidence of growth. Right. Submission, without submission, you are just kind of going about your own way. Right. And ideally, you think you're doing better on your own, but you're not. And this goes for anything in any field. Why do you think there's such thing as apprenticeship programs? Because you can't just walk in and say, well, I'm a welder now, got my degree online, set me up. No. You have an apprenticeship. You have to be shadowed by somebody.
And that's one thing you just said important, because even with jiu-jitsu, and our coach always said this all the time, Chris Harvey always said to everybody, it's always position before submissions. You gotta learn the basic positions first before you go to submissions.
Let's use Paul here.
So more importantly, you have to have a think tank. So every person who you think is successful, they may have had the vision on their own, but I guarantee you, for every Jobs, Steve Jobs, there was Steve Ballmer. Yeah, because the reason why I say that is because for every person that you see that, for every person who you think is successful, there was a think tank around them that helps them become successful. They know that they can only get so far on their own. They have a team of people. I don't think that's something. I don't think that's you. Or is it you? Yeah, double check.
Pay your taxes?
No, that ain't me. I ain't blinking. But there's a think tank around everybody. And if you don't have that think tank, there's no way that you could grow. There's nobody who could check you and be like, nah, that ain't a good idea. That ain't gonna fly. That ain't gonna work. Or it may work, but you need to refine it and do this, which requires a person being able to listen. The problem with this younger generation is they don't want to listen to nobody. And the reason why, because it starts with it starts with the parent. So if you can't listen to your own parents, what happens when you go into a job situation?
I would argue it's a little bit different. They listen to people, but they don't listen to the people around them. They listen to people online.
Yes, but they're listening to people who don't know nothing.
Well, what I'm saying is that they listen to quote unquote influencers, if you will. You know, the Andrew Tates.
Yeah. I get that.
But the problem is, what I'm saying is real quick is just the problem with that kind of listening is that they don't know you.
Right.
There's no connection. There's no accountability. Therefore, there's no responsibility. So when you go out there acting a fool, you know, it's like, well, I learned it from so and so, but so and so don't know you.
Right.
They're not going to be disappointed. You're a stranger. And it's like, and ultimately, it's like, well, I didn't tell them that. I was just giving advice. And they took it and they did something wrong with it.
Right, because what people don't understand is I just said this, just because it works for them, that doesn't mean it's going to work for you in its entirety. Because every person is unique, every situation is unique. That's why everything is not a cookie cutter answer. The only cookie cutter answer you're going to get is from the Bible. Everything else is not cookie cutter. And even within that, every situation is going to be unique. So your experience that you have, Vic, and that you have, Paul, is going to be unique to each of you, which is going to be different for me. But even though we work collectively, there's going to be certain things that's going to be the same. But there's going to be a lot of things that's going to be unique towards each of you, because that's how we were created and designed to be. We are not designed to be robots. We were designed to be humans with unique thoughts, with unique ideas. That's why you need the think tank in order to grow and develop, because the one thing that I may have is one thing that you may need. But there's certain things that I may not have that you can provide and you can provide. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because sadly,
Because there's always going to be a gap in your life.
It's always going to be a situation where something I might not know, but you might have the answer to.
Correct.
And it's something that I might not know, and Victor might have the answer to. Right. And that goes all three ways.
Exactly. And there's something I may not know, and brother, hey, look, what
that's-
do y'all think?
And I think that's the most problem with this society now is a lot of people don't ask the right questions to the right people, or they just, they try to do it.
They know it all. They want to be the smartest person at the table. You gotta not be the smartest person at the table.
Well, because here's the thing. I think the problem is too is that we live in an age of digital isolation, right? Where people have convinced themselves to have relationships with other people through digital content alone. Whether it be something through like VR chat or video games or say Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Digital isolation where physically you are isolated, but mentally you're stimulating yourself through contact online. This is not the same thing. I would argue pure contact with people through online is very poisonous to the health of your soul. Because, a prime example, this was back during COVID, where everything was shut down, and before the governor was making churches closed down, because it was unsafe. They got the strip clubs open. And that's a whole other thing. But what I'm saying is that there was this thing called online church. Basically, you sit in the comfort of your home and you watch church. You basically watch church. But that's not church. It's not church because you know what church is. It's a congregation of people. Right. How can you be a congregation if you don't congregate? Anyone can sit there and listen.
I wish I could talk about the story. I don't think we don't have enough time to talk about the story. But go ahead.
I mean, it's a darn shame that we live where people have never been so alone. They're rooted in the thinking that they have so much connection. But a connection over the phone is not the same as a connection with your neighbor. It really isn't. And the problem is nowadays we're conditioned to hate our neighbors.
Because certain people don't have no sense of discretion, which makes them very biased in the world of being called just because, I can say this and say that doesn't mean I'm not wrong at the end of the day. Sometimes you may be wrong. Sometimes, people hate to admit when hell, I can take point of that, I used to hate when I wasn't right about a lot of things, but that taught me about listening. That taught me how to grow as a better man. And most problem is, most people don't want to admit when they're wrong in certain situations because they can't accept it until it basically happens to you.
Well, it's for me, I think the thing is that a lot of people in social media space, especially coming out of COVID, everybody was like, well, I can say stuff, I can do stuff, and really, they could really show who they truly are. Does that make sense? Because they could hide behind their phone. That was my cousin. They could hide behind their phone, they could hide behind their Instagram, they could hide behind all this stuff, and be like, well, there's no consequence if I really say this. If I say, oh, well, I hate this race. They can say it in the confines of TikTok, X, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it may be, or they can go on a YouTube page and go on a rampage or go on their, Snapchat line. They can say it. Why? Because it may be true how they truly are. But they can hide behind it because they know that there's no consequence because they're saying it behind something. They wouldn't boldface. So certain people will boldface say that, well, I hate this person or I hate these people. Now you're starting to see that, and this is why you're having more confrontation now, because a lot of these people who are hiding behind the cameras now feel emboldened to do it in real time, not understanding that now there's bigger consequences for an action because we're actually in front of a person. This is what you just said. Coming off of COVID, people were saying the same things, but they were hiding. Well, I'm really this, or I'm not really that. Or a pastor, or I wish I could go into the pastor story about the pastor who got the beige rated his church because the feds were like jumping on them because they were investment money, all this stuff. It's a church. I wish I could go into that story, but we don't have enough time. We may revisit it next week. But the problem is by people hiding behind social media, you're starting to see what people truly are, and then social media is basically emboldening these people to have this warped sense of this is who we are. This is why relationships are getting messed up now. This is why guys and girls have a much different perspective in regards to like how they interact with each other, how they interact, and what the expectations are, and all this stuff. Why? It's because it's something that they truly think, and they really think that, well, I need a guy who's 6'2", da-da-da-da. Why? Because they may truly think that. But then now they're emboldened by other people who've been hiding behind the camera and really saying the same thing. But the girl may be working a regular minimum wage job in the Midwest, only making like $10 an hour. But they want somebody who makes $100,000, but they are working a minimum wage job and they don't really look the best and not doing nothing with their life. They want somebody to support them. Why? It's because they really think that way, but they're emboldened by hiding behind the camera. But once they get confronted in real life, guess what happens? They get embarrassed. They get laughed at. They get embarrassed. They get laughed at. And all this stuff is like, well, why am I getting laughed at? I wasn't getting laughed at online. I wasn't getting embarrassed online because you're hiding behind something. Well, the thing is, you gotta have direct personal connections with people to really get a real good feel about what's going on.
To help sum it all up, kids.
But I wasn't going to wrap it up.
To help sum it all up, kids. If you're going to take away anything from this episode, please take away this: that real life has no filter. You can't hide who you are in real life.
And I think that's the thing about Roger. But that's go ahead. I like that. You can't hide it. I think you're right.
You can't. Ultimately, who you are, truthfully, whoever you are, whatever you may be, will come out.
Yep.
You cannot hide it. And you can cover it up. You can't hide who you are. Right. Or what you are. Right. You cannot, no matter who you are, the righteous or the wicked, the saved or the unsaved. It doesn't matter what you are, you can't hide it.
It's my show. Yeah, right. Put your thoughts in.
I really don't have no thought on that part. But no, I'm not scared. But I will say this. Know what your surroundings is before you do something stupid. Because God forbid, anything could happen in this situation. What I mean by that, they both could have lost their life in that situation. Because you never know who Psycho Stu would have been on this side, even though he's, NBC, you don't know who would have.
Be a Marine.
You don't know who's there.
Be a Marine.
That's true.
You know, one call to Marines, and there's like 100 Marines within like earshot distance would have pulled up. I know, my son's one.
Thank God, none of that. But all I said is, always know where you're surrounded.
I got one better.
And always predict that things can transform just like that. That's his voice.
I got one better.
Cam, close this up.
Y'all need to get the right people around you. Stop getting yes men around you. Get somebody who is willing to tell you no, that's not a good idea. Get somebody to tell you no, that's not necessarily a good look. You know, get somebody who's going to be able to challenge your ideas and thinking. And just because they challenge it, that doesn't mean they're challenging from a place of they're hating or anything. Sometimes they just want you to just reevaluate it and think about it thoroughly before you do something or try something or attempt something. And somebody said, well, I'm gonna jump across this cliff and try to dive into the ocean. Somebody may say, nah, that may not be the greatest idea because the rocks are really low to the water, and if you land the wrong way, you're gonna hit something. Somebody needs to tell you that stuff. I'm not saying that you can't do it, but somebody needs to challenge you and say that, yo, you have to think about this before you do it. Nobody was willing to challenge Raja because they were afraid of him as a person because he's, 6'2", 225, all muscle. They were intimidated because his daddy, Rampage Jackson, they didn't want to tell him no. But you gotta have to, like, your thing is, you gotta have people around you to challenge you no matter what your celebrity status is or what you are. Be able to challenge you to be like, you should really think about this before you do it. Now, you're your own man, and he's his own man. He still has to make the decision instead to do or not do, but at least somebody should have been in his ear to be like, think about this before you do this real quick. And nobody, throughout that whole interaction, I don't think nobody really did that for him, and I think that that's why we get to this situation. Outside of that, we appreciate everybody rocking along with us. It's definitely been a privilege and an honor. Thank you for all 129 subscribers to the podcast. And even if you've been watching this in crossing and you didn't subscribe to us just yet, we definitely appreciate you. But if you would like to take the time to sit here and subscribe and like the page, we definitely appreciate you doing that as well. Outside of that, you know, we always say what's up to our affiliates, of course. Shout out to World Heat Entertainment, Jason Lang, all the boys. Like I said, we're in the trenches trying to get Hilltop Brawl 3 edited and whatnot. So we're getting that into work. So I know a lot of people's been asking about it. Be on the lookout for that. Shout out to our dog, Dirty Joe. I know he got his video. He's cooking on that right now. So that'll be up and running pretty soon. I did tell y'all about the mug giveaway. Here's how we're going to do that. We're going to get everybody to leave comments on this particular video. We're going to take the comments there. We're going to read a lot of the comments on our next recording. And from there, I will let the boys, maybe you know what we'll do? I'll give you one better. I will probably let Paul's moms read the comments and let her decide which one. So we're gonna let moms get involved. I know moms will want to get on the table, and this may be a good way for her to get on the table. So we'll let her read the comments and let her give an assessment of who has the best comments, good, bad. Y'all can leave your thoughts and opinions on this particular one.
It can be literally anything.
Right, and y'all can talk about anything that y'all would like, even if y'all say, oh, I hate Cam. He's no, I know. It's cool. I love y'all to death. But shout out to my kids in the back, of course. Outside of that, for my man Paul, for my man Big, my name is Cam, aka Nerd Boy Fresh. Like always, there's God above everything. Until the next time, family, we will do this again soon.
Much love and respect.
Salute.